Mr. Benzel here, talking today about a guide to effective note-taking and how to enrich your geometric experience. So I have with me my cool cat, Miles Davis. What I mean by cool cat is a jazz musician creating his own music. So he starts with his own melody, and then you get to hear all this cool improvisation. So I like to say that before we can accomplish all the cool things in math, we have to have a foundation there with a good quality note-taking experience. All right, so a little bit about the method to my madness. When I think about geometry, I think about the levels of geometric thinking. So I think about the whole spectrum from, Alice all the way to, brilliant mathematician. So Alice, she has a geometric experience. So she's trying to make sense of things like triangles and rectangles and squares right now and finding names for shapes. And then what happens is as you get older, you're able to put things, you can look at common things about shapes. You can look at the properties of shapes. So we're developing a system of properties and thinking about how the shapes relate with each other and things like the sides and the angles. And we're working towards being able to actually make mathematical arguments with the properties. So geometry is not only a math course, but it's also a course on how to develop really, really good thinking skills. And if you are rising to the challenge of taking really good notes, you are taking the first steps towards deepening your level of thinking. And let me tell you that if you want to get to a really good level of thinking, you are going to have to start with the basics first. And it is a non-negotiable in this class to take good notes and have, good vocabulary and have example problems to work off of. It's kind of like Miles Davis here. He's improvising right now, but he is not able to improvise without the basic melody. All right. So the benefits of the flipped classroom. So there's actually a few things that are really good, particularly if you are, struggling with things like processing speed. And you ever feel like, the teacher moves too fast, because the videos are up, and they are up for many days, and you can watch the video at your own speed and pause or rewind whenever you feel like you need it. And there's also countless online resources too. So in essence, what we're doing is we're building the textbook. So with each note that you take, each definition that you copy down, you are creating your own textbook that will be stored in Google Classroom. And you may think, oh, this is kind of pointless. Why do I have to go through all this trouble of taking notes? Well, most college classes, you are going to have to take your own notes to kind of get that basic information. You're also going to be able to need to record notes from the meetings for your job as well. All right, step number 1. Your notes should have clear and effective definitions. I like to say that the definitions in geometry teach you how to set up the problem. And geometry is hard for people who do not know their definitions, because you don't have the instructions then on how to set up the problem. So a definition, in essence, should include, a visual and a written description, and even like a connection with the algebra. And if your teacher says that it's important, it should be bolded or highlighted. So this is a particularly effective presentation of the definition of angle addition postulant, because the student is actually coloring and highlighting what the notation means in the picture, and then she's able to show a numerical example as well, with the geometric notation. Also, definitions are, written out too, and that is helpful. Step 2, illustrate examples. Start by what your teacher is writing. So if they are writing it down, it is important. Make sure that it is on your sheet of paper. After you kind of record some of those basic steps, you may want to go back and summarize your steps in your own work. You may want to think about questions like, how did your teacher go from one step to the next step? How does this picture impact the algebraic setup of the problem? And then write down key problem-solving tips that you have on the side as well. So some of the really good notes like these, what I like about them, like what's good about this student is she's writing the visual examples, she's pointing to things that she sees in the visual examples, and then is actually taking time and developing the algebraic steps, and even writing down some tips on the side. This student even went over and beyond and kept a running record of the problems that they were working on in Delta Math, too. So you could actually look at your notes as a running record of your geometry experience. All right, step number 3, show your thinking on the side. So this step is really nice because it allows me and you to have a conversation privately about how you are processing the material. So some students are taking the initiative to write down observations that they have. Oh, she says, I don't like angles. Please don't do this. Actually, I've changed my mind. This is fine. Students putting, questions that they have about the material on the side. So this is an opportunity to have a dialogue about the geometry that you are learning. And I actually read your notes and try to answer the questions when I enter the comments of your notes in PowerSchool. But I don't like writing. Well, there's other solutions. Some students have actually looked into creating a PowerPoint, creating their own PowerPoint that kind of shows the summary of the skills. But make sure if you're using examples and copying examples and screenshotting that you are explaining the examples in your own words. So I can't guarantee that everything will be easy, but I will tell you that if you are taking your notes, you are going to feel a lot better prepared for class. You are going to feel a lot better prepared when you're going to Delta Math. And you're actually going to be creating your own textbook. And you're going to see that you're going to be not only gaining math skills, but very valuable skills to be competitive in the 21st century world. You're going to be able to use definitions and facts and kind of present, a topic clearly. And you'll hopefully learn a whole lot too. And that is, kind of my job. And I will say that if you are, on the struggle bus with taking notes, feel free to sign up on Sign Up Genius or drop into my office hours and we could talk about, what could be a good practice of note taking for you. So thank you for tuning in and good luck.